All right, good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen, and I'll actually say good morning to our West Coast attendees. My name is Brandon Zarbo, and I am a customer success manager here at 3AM Innovations. I'll be helping host today's topic of tracking and accountability at the network edge. Here at 3AM Innovations, it's always been our mission to protect those who protect us, and accomplishing that mission, connectivity has been at the forefront of not only our concerns, but also the industry of emergency services as a whole. So with that, we are very proud and excited to discuss the opportunities that are now possible thanks to our partnership with HIFA. And I will start by introducing our two panelists for this webinar. We have Patrick O'Connor, who is our co-founder at 3AM Innovations, and Drew Delaney, who is the Vice President of North America Sales. So gentlemen, please continue to introduce yourself and tell us a little bit about yourselves. Patrick, we will start with you.
Hey guys, so again, my name is Patrick O'Connor. I'm a co-founder and president of 3AM Innovations. The company actually started due to a loss in the service. So back in 2009 in Buffalo, I was a volunteer firefighter for Grand Island, just outside of Buffalo. And we experienced a loss that really drove the innovation for 3AM. And with that being said, we knew that there had to change, the technology in our hands, we put it down and then we run into a fire. There's a better way. So that's really the mission of 3AM, is to protect those who protect us.
And Drew.
Great, thanks Brandon, and thanks Patrick and the team at 3AM for bringing us in on this webinar. I'm Drew Delaney. I'm the Vice President of North American Sales for HIFA. I've worked in public safety wireless broadband networks for over 15 years in and around the device and application ecosystem. In that experience, I saw firsthand the limitations of cellular network coverage as you look at what's deployed today. There's been great progress, but there's always going to be gaps. So that's why I'm excited to present what HIFA is bringing to the table here in partnership with 3AM as we look at how to fill those communications gaps with HIFA mesh technology.
Excellent. Thank you for that, both those contributions. So I'd like to take this moment just to address a little bit of what our format for our webinar today will be like. We ask that you please utilize the Q&A feature in Zoom. And we will be recording this webinar also so that you can view it at a later time. The chat can be used to network with each other. And towards the end of the webinar, we also will have a dedicated Q&A session at the end. Okay. So with that format, I will turn it over to Patrick O'Connor, and I will have him introduce our software, Florian, for those of you who are not familiar with it. So go ahead, Patrick.
All right, thank you guys. All right, so again, we are adaptive tactical command software. And what that really means is we are a virtual accountability system. And so as you can see on the screen here, just for like an en route, going from the 911 call, you get toned out, you're heading to the scene. Really what we can help there is give you a virtual 360 of the structure you're going to go to. And as you can see here, the different workspaces that we have or quad view that you could look at. You have an offline map. It's more of a muted, you can see it's just the gray tones. We have our Bing maps or our Google Maps, because each one's going to be slightly different. So you as a customer get to choose which one you're going to be looking at. And that's more of the satellite one you see on the right-hand side. But then we also go right down to your street view. So one thing in our customer discovery, we found that a lot of firefighters, the first thing they do when a call goes out, they go on their phone and they start typing in the address to pull up the street view. Well, we could easily shortcut that for them. And then the last one is your dispatch notes. So anything that is coming through dispatch, because we would integrate directly into your CAD system. And so really what we're doing is we're driving the efficiency, and we're just making it so that, if you really think about it, if you're more efficient going to the scene and on scene, you're going to be safer as well. And so with that being said, it just kind of brings us into the next slide with Drew. And we can't really do our part if we don't have the comms, solidified. So yes, we work on LTE, but if there's LTE denied environment, we need a meshed system, and that's where HIFA comes in. So Drew?
Great, thanks, Patrick. Essentially, HIFA mesh bridges that communications gap for first responders that Patrick just referenced. As he said, when LTE networks are out of reach or disaster strikes and they're down, or where you can't get a satellite deployable asset to the location where connectivity is needed, first responders lose that access to critical applications and software like Florian, which can result in significant operational risk. So HIFA really solves these communications gaps with an easy to use, rapidly deployable wireless mesh network that allows first responders to take their network with them and have Wi-Fi access wherever they go. Each one of these HIFA mesh devices that you see before you seamlessly connects with each other over the public safety dedicated 4.9 gigahertz frequency. So this creates a dedicated mesh network only for public safety use. Additionally, each HIFA mesh device is a Wi-Fi hotspot. So first responders can easily pair their Wi-Fi enabled smartphones, tablets, cameras, sensors, everything that runs the software that we're talking about today, and they can access those devices. Each HIFA mesh device has a 3-mile line of sight connectivity range between them. So first responders can stay connected when they get to that edge of the network. The device you see on the left there is the communications access point, or CAP. That's really HIFA's flagship device. It's purpose-built for emergency response. It's portable, so it has 12-hour battery life, 6 hours of which is hot swappable, so it's continuous operations. It's lightweight, and it's equipped with carabiners and a belt clip in the back, so that it is meant to go with the first responder and stay with them. It's ruggedized, IP67 rated, so it can last in those types of environments. And it's easy to use with one button functionality to turn it on, seamlessly connects into the network. And there's LED lights to indicate your network strength and battery level. The next device in the middle is our fixed device. This is the mobile access point, or MAP. This requires external power and pairs with an internet backhaul source, like an in-vehicle LTE router or a satellite deployable trailer or command vehicle. The MAP uses external antennas to connect to that 4.9 dedicated public safety frequency and establish that mesh connection between the other HIFA devices. Finally, when combined, CAPs and MAPs provide a powerful network extension solution. And again, this allows agencies to significantly increase the coverage area of their existing communications assets, right? Dollars spent on things like in-vehicle routers and satellite deployables. And then last but not least is our range extension kit, or REX kit, that you see on the right. This is a personal portable Pelican case that includes, 3 HIFA caps, so our portable devices, one of our fixed maps, as well as a Cradlepoint IBR 900. So you open up the lid, you turn on the devices, you turn on the Cradlepoint router, you keep that. If that's in an LTE range, you can then extend with the devices from there. So all packaged into one seamless solution.
And actually, Drew, if I could hop in real quick. One thing I want to give is some real world example of this. So we actually had the REX kit quite a few times, and really what's nice about it is how it's just quick, able to pop up and actually work. But another thing that I think is really important is if one of your devices has internet, all of them that are connected on that network has internet. And so we've even been able to make Wi-Fi calls on our phones. But so it really allows us to broaden the devices that we could bring into the Florian fold. So each unit actually is creating that the Wi-Fi bubble for HIFA, and then it's passing it and hopping it. So we've been able to track phones, tablets, watches, whatever could actually connect over the Wi-Fi, which is really easy because everything does that. It just makes it real seamless. So I just wanted to bring that up real quick.
Yeah, and that's a good point too, because each one of the mesh devices also has GPS enabled as well. So you can actually see dots on a map of our devices within our own command portal, and you can configure the network and you can monitor network status. But the unique thing that we've done with 3AM is actually take the GPS location of our devices and share that with their software, so that you can actually see the location of our devices within their software as well.
Mm-hmm. And I'll get into a little bit deeper operational exercise we did where we were able to track down where we put them and go get them afterwards. So that was a very helpful thing. So.
All right, so now let's walk through exactly how Haifa Mesh is able to bridge the gaps. So what you see in front of you is an existing scenario where you have an emergency response vehicle with an LTE router inside. It's able to establish a connection to a tower, so it has a good signal. It then provides a Wi-Fi bubble around the vehicle. If you're running software like Florian, that's great. If you're in and around the vehicle, if you're in that roughly 500-foot bubble. However, what happens when you go outside of that bubble and you don't have Wi-Fi? Are you able to connect to LTE if you have a smartphone? And then if you go in the building and you go to that 6th floor for that response, do you have LTE? So the limitations that this impacts upon the software that's running it really creates those risks that we talked about before. So this is kind of where it stands now. And then if we look at the next slide, we can kind of see how Haifa Mesh fits in and is able to, again, bridge that gap. So if you pair one of our devices very easily via an Ethernet cable to your in-vehicle router, you're then enabling that vehicle with Haifa Mesh. And then the first responders themselves take that portable device with them and carry that Wi-Fi bubble with them on scene. And then they're also connecting to all the other mesh devices to create that mesh network itself. And each device, as I said before, has a 3-mile line of sight range. So if you take that Haifa cap that's at that 6th floor in the response area, maybe it can't see fully back over the mesh to the vehicle where the map is. It can breadcrumb its way via the other cap that's at the base of the building and make its way back out and be able to share that data back out to the internet. So at the end of the day, Haifa Mesh really enables the tracking and accountability with Florian when you're in that environment where there is no LTE or you're far away from the vehicle and you don't have that Wi-Fi access.
And actually, Drew, again, to bring in another real world example. So in that, with the building expert piece, we leverage one of our partners called NextNav to actually get the height, but we also need some sort of internet connection, currently to get that. And we're in talks to take that offline eventually someday, but right now we need internet. And so if we don't have LTE, we wouldn't be able to provide the height to our customers. But leveraging the Haifa and having it where it hops the internet throughout their devices, now we're able to provide that back and actually show that the first responders are up on the 6th floor. Another area where this is very helpful, if you take like the Puerto Rico example, not hurricane, the last hurricane season, but the one where it completely knocked them out. Having a system like Haifa and Florian together really would be a game changer for them with their USAR or urban search and rescue efforts. I was actually talking with some of them, and a lot of times it was just pen and paper. And then all night long, the analysts would stay up all night compiling everything that came in from that day to get everything ready for the next crew to go out after they had their rest period. And so having that where it just auto syncs up, and when they're out in the field, even though there is no LTE or anything, they're still getting that data flowing back in. It's going to change how they handle their entire efforts. And obviously you could apply that right to Hurricane Ian that just hit Florida. It's same concept there. You're in a denied area because a natural disaster knocked everything out. But before FirstNet and everyone comes in to actually pull those deployables up, you could still be up and operating quickly with this system and then leverage that network when it does come in. So
exactly. So I really, I think we're going next to, just last month at the IFC's Technology Summit International Conference in Irving, Texas. We showcased in partnership with 3AM and Microsoft this exact scenario. So you can see the Microsoft vehicle here. It was parked outside the convention center. We essentially set up a Rex kit in the vehicle. We had antennas on top of the vehicle, and we were able to extend satellite connectivity from the truck up 4 stories down a hallway into the conference center over 2 caps, and then we had an additional 3 caps on the show floor, one at the HIFA booth, one at the Microsoft booth, and one at the Florian booth. And we were able to share that signal, offer that Wi-Fi access, and we're even streaming video on the show floor to kind of showcase that actual use case in reality.
And actually, Drew, how many computers? So we had 2 computers running off it. How many were in total, do you think?
I know Microsoft had at least 3. We had 3 at our booth. So yeah, probably 2 or 3 per cap.
Yeah, and I said, like, everything was going well. We were able to stream everything, and everyone was. So Microsoft had Florian running at their station as well, and so we were all having a unified incident going. So we were tracking multiple phones, and they were showing the same data that we were showing at ours, but it was all over the HIFA network. All right, so gonna move on to the next slide. All right, so this is a real world example that we have here. So this was a Navy JFEX that 3AM was invited to do. We are at Camp Roberts in California. This is a very interesting place. It is where they light off ammunition. So it's very devoid of everything. When you go out there, you lose all connectivity whatsoever. So it was a prime example to leverage the HIFA network. And so what we did was, if you could look on the picture, so that actually is one of our tablets running the event. Really, we're able to take the paper map that you're looking there and bring it into the digital era. And so at the bottom of the screen, you see a little green square. That's actually where this tablet was located. And then there's 2 red squares in the middle. Those are where we dropped off some of the caps. So in reality, if you actually were, yeah, thank you. In reality, if you were actually looking at this in a 3D environment, which Florian is, you would be able to see that those are at high points. So what we did when we first got there, we looked at the topographic map that Florian provides, picked out the 2 highest peaks, and then we drove out there, dropped off the caps, and it was very easy to tell if they were connected or not due to the LEDs that they have. So as you see the green line on there, that's actually 3 separate LED lights. And it'll turn yellow, red if it has a bad connection, or green if it has a solid connection. So as soon as we knew we had a good connection, we would just hang it on a tree, and then we left and went to the next one. And at the very top of the screen, you see it was there was a blue location. That actually was the next base. And so this kind of brings in another aspect of the HIFA network. Is it's a secure network, and no one else could really access it. So in this exercise, we did a red versus blue. And so we had to actually infiltrate the blue base at the very top. And we were able to do so. We had full comms, and the other team did not, mainly because we were leveraging the HIFA network and Florian. So we saw where our assets were. We were able to communicate to our assets in the field, and they were able to still see what was going on and provide data back to us where the red team or the enemies were in the field. And so command was aware of everything in real time. So that's something that was really powerful to show how just the 2 products together, the HIFAs and Florian, were able to actually give a tactical advantage over the typical radio 2-way radio systems.
And one thing to add in there too, what was unique about the Camp Roberts experience was this was fully off grid. So what we've talked about so far in the webinar is a lot of what HIFA can do to extend a network, right? You have a satellite deployable, you have LTE access, you need to extend further, miles down into a canyon or whatnot. Under this scenario, there was no internet. So the devices were connected to each other in a fully local wireless internet, leveraging the capabilities of Florian and the serverless environment. That was very unique about that scenario. So you take that back to Patrick's comments about Hurricane Ian or the events in Puerto Rico where all infrastructure is down. You could deploy a system with Haifa and Florian and have full comms up and running without any internet backhaul in minutes.
Correct. Yep. All right. Do we want to move to questions? Q&A? I know we don't have too much time left.
Yeah, we can do that. Yeah, absolutely, we can do that. So thank you for both of the contributions there. We actually have a couple questions in the Q&A here. So it says the Florian solution, is this something like a CAD Lite, or are you an incident management system? Okay. Do you have competitors the way you do things?
Okay. No, that's
so I believe that'd be a question for you, Patrick.
Yes. Yeah. All right. So we are not a CAD. We actually would integrate into your CAD. And so they would actually feed us data and we could feed data back into it. We are definitely more of an incident management system. And for competitors, yeah, there's obviously others out there. But what we've seen, we are really the only one that's focused on the dismounted, first responder. So yes, we could track your vehicles, AVL, that's definitely something we can do as well. But we could also track your dismounted, workers, whether they are, again, in buildings through our partner NextNav. We're able to actually track their height and report that out. But also a lot of wildland scenarios is where we can work completely off grid, as Drew was just saying, but we don't lose the data if you're not connected. Even if we're not connected to Haifa and you're just by yourself, you're a lone worker, the data stores on the device until we could get a connection and send it up. So I hope that answered the question.
Yeah, absolutely. Thank you very much for that. And thank you to those who have contributed to the Q&A so far. So I believe this answers for Drew. Drew, what is the pricing model for this portfolio?
So the pricing model, it's a hardware upfront CapEx spend. We have a rental model as well. So when disaster strikes and these are needed, but there is no annual fee or annual cost. As public safety entities, you own the spectrum, you own the license to the spectrum. So you're just deploying hardware, and for the Haifa side, it's just the CapEx.
Excellent. Thank you very much for that. So we just got a few minutes here. So I will go ahead and say, I want to say thank you first and foremost to everybody who contributed. Actually, we got a last minute question, it looks like here. So the Haifa network and Florian seem to be a really good option for events too. Have you all done any work for special large events like games, off-road races, Burning Man, etc.? So I will let you both sort of address this question, and then we will wrap up after this one. So
yes, actually, here I'll start it, and then Drew could take it. But yeah, so Florian is actually very well suited to handle large events. We've tracked quite a few marathons, music festivals, and things like that. Having the ability to actually send destinations to people, whether it's their cell phone or their tablet, is proved very pivotal to shorten the time to care. Same thing, we've been in many EOCs where the chief actually saw the call come in and delayed who was the SOP. How they have the general areas of, bike 6 handles this area, bike 5 this area, but they are able to actually look at it and say, no, send bike 5. They're going to get there much faster than bike 6 because they're on the far side of their zone. So that's one thing that Florian handles extremely well. And then moving to the off-grid piece of it, because a lot of times at large events, there's a lot of people going on and networks aren't really there. I'll turn that over to Drew for that.
Yeah, I mean, it's a classic issue with large events is network congestion. And what Haifa brings to the table is that dedicated 4.9 frequency that is the backhaul, is our mesh network. So we are fully dedicated, fully encrypted, and that ability to work off grid, as Patrick mentioned, you have a essentially 100% reliable comms network, whether LTE is sparsely available or not available at all.
Excellent. Well, with that, I will say thank you to both of you gentlemen for contributing. We will wrap up with a quick closing statement from each of our panelists. Patrick, go ahead. We will start with you.
All right. Well, of course, thank everyone for their time. I just really think that I hope that this was insightful and this actually got the word out, because that's the one thing that we have found is the biggest challenge is just educating people on the capabilities of the newest technology that is coming out. And if you have any other questions, please, reach out to us or reach out to Haifa. We talk every day, so we'll be able to get you if you got on the wrong side or not. So, thank you.
Yeah, no, thank you to everyone that joined the webinar. And again, I can't thank the team at 3 a.m. enough. They've been fantastic ever since I met them, 5 years ago. So really appreciate you including us. And I'll definitely echo, just this is great opportunity to get the word out. So the more that we can do this, the better. So I appreciate everybody's time and thanks again.
Thank you once again to you both. Thank you to all the attendees, and thanks for the questions and the interaction. This was a very quick half an hour. It went by pretty fast. So it was chock full of information. We appreciate that from both of you. So if anybody has any further questions, we can refer you to either our sales@3aminnovations.com email address, or if you have any further questions for Haifa, please contact info@haifaworld.com. Okay. Thank you again to all the attendees and our panelists. And I want to say a very special early thank you to all of our veterans. We're grateful for your service and we hope everyone enjoys the long holiday. So that'll be a wrap here for accountability and tracking at the network edge. Thank you very much for your time and take care, everybody.
Thank you guys.
Thank you.